to Monster Bear Productions.
We should be recording now. All right. Welcome to another episode of Monster Bear Production. I'm here with Clarissa Vazquez.
Good.
Butcher. Huh?
I said good evening.
All right, sweet. So we got a nice good treat for you guys. We'll talk about the paranormal. She's gonna It's gonna be interesting. We'll figure out more about the paranormal. It's gonna be pretty wild. Plus, we got an expert in the paranormal activities, and she's the author of paranormal books too.
Yep, that's right.
All right. So, Clarissa, what got you into paranormal?
Okay, so roughly 25 years ago, I was active duty in the Air Force,
Okay.
and I was a very low-ranking service person on a very, very tall totem pole. And the base where I was stationed was in the process of converting their um, former morgue in their hospital into a physical therapy department. And so being a grunt, if you will,
Right.
I was tasked with helping to clean up some of that construction debris, sweeping up brick dust and asbestos. And, this was, uh, it was the 90s. People weren't concerned about mesothelioma yet.
All
Uh,
right.
uh, and so um, that was what I was tasked with doing for a couple of weeks. And one day I came back from lunch and walked down into the construction area and saw a man standing in the middle of the construction area. Now, this man, he looked out of place, but he was not wispy, transparent, or he wasn't floating. He appeared to be very tangible. He was three-dimensional, um,
Right.
and he looked, just as real as you and I,
Right.
except his uniform was not the uniform of the day. Uh, Back then, the uniform was the green camouflage battle dress uniform. And this gentleman was wearing the olive drab fatigues, which were phased out in the mid 80s. So if you think of the uniforms that they wore in the Vietnam era, like if you
Right.
were to watch Good Morning Vietnam or any of those movies, it was that type of uniform.
Okay.
Uh, and so he looked out of place, but he was rugged, clean cut, handsome. And so I approached and got within about 10 feet and asked if I could help him with something, because
Right.
again, he looked out of place. And he looked at me and looked away and walked through a cinder block wall and disappeared.
What?
And yeah, and the cinder block that he walked through was an exterior wall. It was a building foundational wall. So it wasn't like he could have walked around it or anything. I mean, he walked right through the middle of this wall and vanished.
Uh,
And so it didn't occur to me to be afraid at the time. I just kind of stood there, just kind of scratching my head, going, "What the
yeah.
heck just happened?"
Utter disbelief. Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. He just
So
was there any reports of like seeing this gentleman like around from other people or
no. And
yeah.
here's the thing. Back then, the internet was still in its infancy.
Mm,
Paranormal TV was not a thing yet. Um, and so there was still a huge, huge stigma attached to uh, vocalizing, admitting that you had had a potential paranormal encounter. If I
right.
had said anything to anyone affiliated with the military, they would have had me in for a psychiatric evaluation, faster than you could say ghost.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so I called my mom. I'm like, "You're not going to believe what happened." Um, and I did keep going back, hoping to see him
Right.
again, to try to make heads or tails out of what I had just, what I had experienced. And again, the internet was in its infancy, so it wasn't like I could Google, hey, I just saw a ghost. What do I do? Um, and so I went off base and got a library card and started reading every book I could get my hands on, by some of the greatest paranormal investigator pioneers, ever, and uh, started reading about tips and techniques on how to document uh, ghostly activity.
Right.
And so before long, I'm sneaking off to cemeteries in the middle of the night, with a clunky old analog tape recorder and a Polaroid camera.
Yeah.
Uh, and again, I'm dating myself by mentioning these things, but
That's all right.
uh, and eventually I got good at. I figured out, what I was doing and how to do things. Started really honing my skills and refining techniques and things like that. Um, Fast forward to 2004, I had a really good friend who was interested as well. Paranormal TV was starting to become a thing,
Right.
and so he and I started working together, and word got out that this is what we were doing, and people started contacting us going, hey, I think my house is haunted, or I think my building is haunted. And again, there was still a stigma attached to it, so people were,
Right.
really wanting to keep this on the DL. And before long, we were, if we weren't working or sleeping, we were in someone's home or business, looking for ghosts. I mean,
Man.
that's all there was to it. And so in 2004, the Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators was born. We had more cases than we could handle, and some of them were getting really big. So we started taking on team members and training them, and teaching them how to do it. How to investigate reports of paranormal activity, not just ghosts, but also reports of cryptozoological activity or extraterrestrial activity,
Yeah.
and do it ethically. Um, Unlike what you see on television, which is done very unethically. Uh, uh, so that was almost 17 years ago, and we are still going strong. We are the second longest running paranormal research organization in the state of Colorado. We're second only to Rocky Mountain Paranormal, which has been around since 1999.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is truly. I got a little goosebumps hearing that story. Especially with the original ghost and whatnot. And then you guys been around that long, and I'm just now hearing about you. I mean, this is a this is very interesting. I always had that strange interest in the paranormal. Uh, had you always have that like experience like once in a while, like you feel the paranormal kind of energy. The room gets
Hmm.
cold. You
Right.
hear like someone call your name or voice something, like you just trying to pass it off as something else. I mean, do you, like some people call those like a spirit, or like maybe like a demon? Like, have you guys run into like any like a sort of like biblical sense of paranormal entities, or
Yeah,
yeah,
there's contrary to what you see and hear on television, because there's one TV show out there where everything is demonic.
yeah,
Uh, you know, it it really, really and truly takes a lot for me to categorize something as demonic in nature. It has to meet certain criteria, and that criteria is actually adhered to by the Vatican. Now,
oh,
yeah, and so in the 20 something years that I've been doing this, Um, prior to 2017, I had only encountered two entities that I would possibly consider to be demonic in nature. And by possibly, it's like, well, it meets some of the criteria, but not all of the criteria. And this was in 17.
Okay.
Uh,
What are some of those criteria, if you don't mind me asking? What
sure.
criteria is that? Okay.
Eh, Not just a malevolent presence or an oppressive presence. It has, there's other criteria that has to be met. Uh, there has to be um, a really strong but somewhat random odor of either sulfur, rotten meat, rotten eggs, something to that effect. Um, uh, Insect infestations, usually flies, um, growling, uh, knocking or rapping from no discernible source in sequence of three,
Mhm.
which is thought to be a mockery of the Holy Trinity.
Right.
Um, and some other things. A real aversion to crucifixes. If a family were to put a crucifix on their wall or on a table or something, the crucifix would be moved, turned upside down, or even knocked down and broken.
Right.
Things like that. So, but
And
so go ahead.
and you said you ran into two probably possibility encounters. What were some of those elements that meet the criteria that which you ran
Well, one
into?
of them One of them actually, it was really, really and truly strange. Um, when we were investigating, the primary complaint from the client was that their daughter's imaginary friend really didn't seem too friendly, and
Mm,
their daughter was 2, and described her imaginary friend right down to the T, and even said that she wears comfortable shoes. Now, a 2-year-old doesn't use the phrase comfortable shoes. Uh,
right.
but
Right.
it but it was the 2-year-old that was predominantly, experiencing this. And so during the course of our investigation, not only did a 50-pound obsidian sphere roll, come off of its pedestal and come crashing to the ground, leaving a very nice dent in the linoleum. Luckily, we got it on camera to prove that it wasn't us that did it.
Oh,
But the microwave started beeping, and the LCD display on the microwave read "child."
what?
Yeah, and I
Whoa.
I don't know about you, but I don't know of a child setting on a microwave.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, that's whoa.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
that was in 2017.
that was prior to 17.
Okay, prior to
Like I said,
17.
there were 2 cases prior to 17.
Okay.
In 2017 by itself, we had 2 confirmed cases. Um, for a total of 4. 2 of them were in 2017 alone. One of them, we were actually called in by the church, by the Catholic Church. They didn't want to dedicate the time or the resources to investigate this family's claims, and so they called us in an observe and report um, capacity. And when the 4-year-old child starts climbing the wall, you've got
Wait,
something. Yeah,
what?
yeah. Uh,
Whoa.
so we immediately, called the investigation and called the priest and said, you need to get your people in here. There's enough. We've only been here a couple of hours, and we have enough data to warrant your intervention. Um, and so they did, and the family was actually, it took a while, but the family got the help that they needed. And
Was was it like an exorcism they had to do,
yes,
or?
yeah, they
Uh,
had to perform an exorcism.
okay. Well, do you ever take in any parts of a exorcisms or anything?
I have assisted.
Uh,
Being an ordained minister, I am qualified. Uh, but I have not led an exorcism. And frankly, I prefer to, uh, like I said, I've assisted, and I prefer to stay as far away from
Right.
exorcisms as I possibly can because those are no joke.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it if something goes wrong with it? That spirit has a possibility of following you too and affecting, like, yeah, like
Exactly. And and once that demon, that demon, looks at you and knows who you are, and they will tell they will tell your darkest secret.
mm-hmm.
They that demon, looked right at me and said, "Clarissa Vasquez, you are not a natural redhead,"
Right.
at
Yeah.
worst.
Oh, that's wild. Do you? I'm not gonna lie. I'll be um, really afraid to do anything like that. You have a very strong spirit, to go out there and do these help these families out there like that. And look into these and research. I mean, people may laugh at it, scoff at it, and may think like, oh, it's just a joke. But I actually do believe that it's really out there. I mean, like if people can believe in something such as the Big Bang, why can't you believe in something such as spirits?
Well, the majority of our investigations, I would say 99% of our investigations, we're able to debunk
Mm,
uh, what the clients are experiencing, meaning that we're able to prove that it's not the work of ghosts or, heaven forbid, demons, but it's naturally occurring phenomena. And so we go through and we scientifically investigate. We don't utilize mediums or psychics or, you can't prove the paranormal with the paranormal.
right.
So, so we don't use any of that. We rely on the scientific method. We study, we use electronics, and then we try to, duplicate our findings. And we will go through a location from top to bottom. If we're crawling through their crawl space or squirreling around in their attic,
Hmm.
to find out what's going on, that's what we do. And again, 99% of our investigations result in us going to the client saying, okay, the good news is we believe that you were experiencing something. Now,
Hmm.
here's the even better news. It's not a ghost. It's this is what it is. Um, Now, in that 1%, when we are actually able to document unexplained phenomena or
Hmm.
unexplainable phenomena, that's the icing on the cake. And really, for my investigators, I can't say for me, but for my investigators, that's what keeps the fire lit under their backsides.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes complete sense. I can see why. See why. What does it normally turn out to be? Just like a cable or a rock or a squirrel in the house or something, or
It could be anything. It could be
yeah.
a tree branch,
Oh.
uh, you know, casting a shadow down a hallway. When the branch moves, it looks like there's somebody walking down the hallway. It
Right.
could be um, a pipe that has come unsecured from a joist in the attic or in the basement or what have you, and so as water moves through the pipe or as the water in the pipe heats and cools, that pipe knocks against the joist. Um, it could be improperly insulated electrical conduit that is
Oh.
putting off high levels of EMF, which is electromagnetic field,
Feels
uh,
good.
giving people, feelings of being watched. And an interesting fact about EMF,
Mm-hmm.
this is why it is illegal now to put high voltage power lines over city parks. Prolonged exposure to high levels of EMF can make you very, very sick. It can make you hallucinate. It can give you headaches, and in extreme cases, it can cause cancer. Which is why they don't put the high voltage lines over city parks anymore because little kids were getting brain tumors
Oh. Okay. Okay.
from going and playing in the park every day and being under those high voltage power lines that were putting off, EMF levels in the thousands. Um, Safe EMF is anything under zero point 0.8 milligauss. That's safe. If it's under zero point 0.8, it's safe. And these high voltage power lines are putting off EMF in the thousands of milligauss.
Okay.
And so you get people that have a really old alarm clock sitting next to their bed, and they've also got a television in their bedroom and a stereo in their bedroom and everything else, and they've inadvertently created themselves a Faraday cage. They're surrounded by EMF, so of course, every little thing that they see and hear, they're going to panic and think that their house is haunted, when really
Right.
it's just all of the electronics that are crammed into their bedroom.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes complete sense. Is it normally like people who are like I guess like older like such as
Oh
I don't,
no,
is young expecting younger people too, like how like I know like
absolutely.
uh
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of younger people that contact us and say, we think our house is haunted, or my parents don't believe me. What do I do? And
right
so, just sitting down and talking with that young person, it's like, okay, this is what you're experiencing. Let's go take a look. So with mom and dad's permission, we go and we take a look. Um, in fact, that's how we got one of our investigators. She was a teenager living at home, and things were going on, and finally mom was kind of thinking that she was experiencing something. Stepdad was like, yeah, whatever.
right
Stepdad was a retired police officer, so uh, it took a lot, but
and yeah
finally with mom and dad's permission, we were able to come in and we were able to investigate.
mm,
um, and it took several years and several trips before we were actually able to document what was going on in their house. And by that time, mom was definitely experiencing things.
mm,
Um, but um, that young lady was so um, impressed by what we did and how we did and our professionalism and our compassion and
yeah
everything. That when she came of age, she joined the team and she's still with
oh
us.
really.
Mhm.
That's amazing. That's really here. You had that
Yeah,
profound impact on her life that you're able to share.
yeah.
you
Well, so
know,
now she can relate to our clients. When
yeah.
we've got a client that's really struggling with what's going on, we set her down and she can say, "Look, I've been in your shoes.
Hmm.
I was a teenager and when things were going on in my house, I called these people in. They came in, they helped me, and now here I am paying it forward." Um,
That's really amazing. Um, did, was there a huge spike with your calls during like the paranormal activity movies craze that we had, like back was that 2015, 16?
yeah, there was, but
Yeah.
we always get a spike right around Halloween time.
Okay.
So, anytime there's a big horror movie release,
Mm,
we'll get a spike and around Halloween time. And the reason for that is because everybody's mind is on it.
right. Yeah.
Everybody's thinking about it. So, stuff that happens every day of the year that they don't ordinarily pay attention to, they're all of a sudden noticing because
Mm,
their brains are stuck on ghosts.
yeah.
So,
It's tuned into
yeah,
it now, huh?
yeah.
Does question though, like does that focusing on it and does that manifest the energy, give the ghost more powers or something like that, or like it's like
Yes, it can.
how you
If
say
you're
yeah.
if you're dealing with a legitimate ghost, chances
Mm-hmm.
are they've already got the energy, they've already got what they need to manifest and
Mm,
do,
okay.
but because you're thinking about it and everything, you're noticing them more, which could encourage them to do more if they are what we call an intelligent or an interactive entity.
Mm-hmm.
If they are conscious and aware of what is going on, they'll be like, oh, hey, they're noticing
Yeah.
me now. I'm
Yeah.
going to, dance monkey.
Yeah. Yeah. They see me now. I'm not alone. They know I'm here. Like I can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so. What is per se? Like what is a ghost? Like what are the different forms of ghosts?
There are different classifications.
Yeah.
The first one being a residual haunting. Now, the thing about a residual is they're not conscious, and in fact, they're not really a ghost at all. They're more of an energy imprint,
Okay.
um, kind of like a um, a record stuck on repeat, if you will, a record with a scratch in it, and
Okay.
it keeps repeating the same thing over and over again. Or if a car drives through the mud, a the car is gone, but the track in the mud is still there.
You're right.
So when you hear stories about, you know, every day on February the 1st, in this old castle, you see a bride walking down the stairs, and February 1st was her wedding day, but she, tripped and fell down the stairs and died, before she could get married. And so, every year on February 1st, and I'm making this up, it, she,
Yeah.
you see her coming down the stairs. Stories like that are prime examples of residual hauntings. They are not conscious. They're not aware that they're dead or they're a ghost. Um, they're just an energy imprint, and it's really really difficult um, to resolve that kind of haunting. And it's in fact I would dare say it's impossible to resolve that kind of haunting. Um, the second one is intelligent or interactive, and these are the actual spirits of people who have passed, um, and they may or may not be aware that they're dead. And so that's something we have to be very, very careful about when we are doing our investigations. We don't phrase questions or allude to the fact that they're dead, because we could make a potentially bad situation worse. Uh, so we don't say, when did you die, how did you die. There are
Mm.
there are really unethical investigators out there that will go, you're dead, right? uh,
Some say that.
yeah, yeah, I have heard people say,
Hmm.
you're dead, right? And the response that they got was, no, you are.
Hmm.
Yeah, that actually happened at the Stanley Hotel about 12 years ago. Someone said, you're dead, right? And the EVP response was, no, you are. Uh,
Really?
which which kind of bakes your noodle if you sit there and think about it. You're just like, oh crap, what if I'm the one that's dead and they're the,
Right?
you're like,
Yeah. You'll
uh,
have you in your head like, no, oh, wait, am I talking to them or are they talking to me?
yeah,
Yeah.
so, but how
Uh,
would you feel if someone walked up to you and said, how did you die?
yeah.
When did
Um,
you die? You're because as far as you know, you're not dead.
yeah.
So we work really hard to say, when were you born? What year is it now? Who's the president? Things like that. We try to get as much information from them as possible without constantly going, "What's your name? Are you here?" Things like that.
Yeah.
We ask questions as if they are there and
Right.
try to keep the conversation going, try to build that rapport. Um, and most of the EVPs that we get are from intelligent or interactive spirits.
Right.
Now, the third classification, there's four.
Right.
The third classification are poltergeists.
Okay.
And the word poltergeist is German for noisy ghost.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so, contrary, take the Hollywood poltergeist movies and Paranormal Activity, everything you ever thought you knew about poltergeist, and throw it right out the door,
Oh,
because that's all a poltergeist is a noisy ghost. They they either have enough energy or they've been around long enough that they are able to make noise. They're able to move tangible objects or manipulate physical things. They can knock on the walls, or they can move your keys, or things like that. They do know that they're dead. and they are very good about interacting. The thing about poltergeists, though, is they're not always ghosts. Sometimes poltergeist activity, especially when you've got cases of knockings and items being moved, it can be inadvertent telekinesis from someone uh, living or working inside the building, someone who is going through extreme stress or duress, like a teenage girl going through puberty is the most common cause for telekinetic poltergeist activity because you've got
Really?
that massive those
Hmm.
massive hormone fluctuations,
Right.
so that those teenage girls are just exuding energy. They're like a giant battery of emotional energy. And so they can, and it does happen. If you've ever read the Stephen King book Firestarter,
Yeah.
that's all about telekinesis.
Yeah.
And so, that inadvertent, and there are some fire starters out there, and they will grow out of it. Um,
Okay.
or if you've got someone who recently lost a loved one, very tragic loss of a loved one, or even divorces have resulted in short-term uh, telekinetic poltergeist activity. And so when you've got someone going through extreme emotional stress or duress, that can be a source of your poltergeist activity. It's not
Okay.
always a ghost. Now, the fourth one isn't a ghost either, and that's what we discussed just a little while ago, and that's demonic entities.
Right. Right.
And demonic entities, by the very literal sense, um, they are entities that either never occupied a human body, so they have no humanity, or it has been so long since they were human that they've lost their humanity.
Mm. Okay.
So they've got no conscience, no semblance of right and wrong. They're very goal oriented um, to wiggle their way in, and there's different stages before you get to actual possession. Um, there's infestation, oppression, followed by possession. Uh, and so with those, you've got to be very, very careful. And like I said, in 2017, we had two cases alone. Prior to that, we'd only encountered two cases in the 20 something years I've been doing this. And then in 17, we had two cases by themselves. And then in January of 2018, the Vatican announced that they were going to train 250,000 new exorcists
Yeah.
around the world, and they've opened it up to civilians. You do not have to be a priest in order to be trained as an exorcist now. I believe it costs $5,000, and you fly to Rome, and that covers your room and board for, I believe, 6 weeks, and they train you to be um, a Vatican sanctioned exorcist. So it kind of makes you wonder what was going on in the world and in the universe that all of the sudden uh there's a call for we experienced double our demonic cases, and all of a
Uh,
sudden Vatican's calling for 250,000 more exorcists.
uh, yeah. It's getting pretty wild nowadays. I wouldn't be. I would be surprised. A lot of people are being possessed now. Like, what do you think the overall goal of most of these demonic possessions that's going on? Like, is just to cause suffering? Is it just to feel alive and feel human again? Or like,
I
can you theorize?
I can't say for sure, but I do know that if a living person is possessed long enough, um, the the uh, the demon will eventually kill that person.
Mm,
It will result in their death.
okay.
So whether their objective is to kill or whether their objective is to take the soul of the living person, that I don't know. But I do know that if a person is possessed long enough, and by long enough, there's no guideline. It varies from person to person.
Hmm.
Uh, but if a person is possessed long enough, they will die.
Okay. Yeah. Is that like was it like this die of like what I usually put down like natural causes or something just shuts down, or is it like they commit suicide or something, or
Some people commit suicide. Some people starve to death. Um, some people, their body systematically shuts down.
Mhm.
Again, it depends on the demon. It depends on, if there's an exorcist ritual in progress. Some people have died in the middle of exorcisms.
Yeah, I heard about that. There was a famous case about that too, wasn't it?
There's been a
Um,
few cases about that.
yeah, yeah, I heard about that too, and it was just yeah, dang, that's that's also very very interesting that the Vatican, are training so many people like now to perform these exorcisms.
Well,
I
and they're
wonder if,
treating
uh,
civilians.
yeah, civilians too.
Yeah.
Um, you got like I'm not to do this, not fear mongering or anything. You think like the rapture's coming soon or something, or you think like this like tales of the end of the world happening, or
It depends on who you talk to. You
yeah,
know, prior to the rapture, you've got the four horsemen of the
well,
apocalypse.
yeah, yeah,
And a lot of people are saying, that, it's the sign of the times, and that the fire, flood, famine, you know,
yeah,
pestilence, I mean, y- you've got a lot of the signs, you look right now,
yeah,
we're in the middle of a pandemic,
dynamic,
is it
yeah,
plague, is it one of the horsemen, um, we just don't know. And, we won't know until Judgment Day.
yeah. You really, you have no idea. When I tell Judgment Day, yeah, literally. I guess if it starts raining frogs, then we'll know.
Yeah.
What was it? But yeah, it's pretty wild that the Vatican's actually training some people, especially civilians too. I wonder what exactly is going on, and it also opened up to the idea of actual extraterrestrial aliens and whatnot. Um,
Yeah.
which is it's also I never thought I would ever hear the Vatican open up the ideas to that. I was like, cool. So something's going on. I mean, there's UFO
Well,
sightings all over the
thanks to
place
the
now.
yeah, well, and thanks to the Freedom of Information Act,
Yeah,
uh, a lot of the United States government, um, a lot of their documentation, on extraterrestrials uh, and unidentified, spacecraft and everything, a lot of that has become declassified. And so if you know where to look and actually go and look, you can find, that the government has known about ETs for, you know, decades.
yeah,
And, and that's, and a lot of people are going, oh, ETs don't exist, because God and humans, we're the only, species, in the known universe. Well, maybe not.
maybe
Just
not.
because the
Yeah,
Bible doesn't just because the Bible doesn't mention other, species, doesn't mean that God didn't create more. And just as we are developing space travel and are preparing to go to Mars,
right.
doesn't mean you know, other beings and civilizations haven't developed space travel and are now coming to see us.
Yeah,
Uh, we just don't have it documented in the King James Bible. So,
right. Well, there's been well, and I guess in artistic form, there's been UFOs painted and depicted. I mean, there's all over the place.
yeah.
They, they, they kind of talked about the UFOs. I'm like, oh, I wish I could remember that passage. They kind of talked about the UFOs a little bit in the was it the Old Testament?
Yeah. A little bit in the Old
Yeah,
Testament, depending on which translation you're reading, that can be interpreted as discussing extraterrestrials. However, the ancient Egyptians have petroglyphs that
yeah,
depict and the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Incas, they have uh, glyphs that depict extraterrestrials as well.
yeah. I mean,
So
all over the place too, and it's crazy. it's always over on the pyramids too. Like
Right.
like all they're borderline similar with their depictions, and they all tell a story, and they always involve an extraterrestrial guy in a or a guy or extraterrestrial in a plane or whatever. One looked
Exactly.
like a helicopter, and one looks like another. It just
Right.
it's wild, you know.
Well, and if you'll permit me for
Go ahead.
just a second, if we going back to the Bible, the what we know as the Bible today was not the original Bible.
Mhm.
Constantine, when Constantine convened the Nicene Council and sat down with the church heads to decide what books were going to be included and what books were going to be omitted from the Bible, and then what was going to be rewritten to serve their agenda.
And yep.
So, we've got the original scripts down, of course, in the vaults of the Vatican. Um, and so I would love to get my hands on, some of those original scripts
Right.
and, the original scrolls and the original books of the Bible, like the Book of Mary, which was omitted.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, the there are dozens of books that were omitted from what we know as the Bible today. And I would
Yeah.
love to go and see, what does it say about ghosts? What does it say about extraterrestrials? What does it say about uh, cryptozoological creatures?
All right.
Did
Yeah.
Jesus teach about the dinosaurs? Come on. So, you
I
know,
know, right?
you dinosaurs, what?
Right.
Jesus was drinking the mushroom wine that day. No.
Right. uh, but yeah, that is so wild. Also, very crazy that so much information is hidden in the Vatican and in the vault that
Oh,
are so very few people are have the permission or even have the luxury even going down there to go see it. So, like, you could be worked with Vatican for years and not be able to have the permission to go see it, go down there, go check it out. It's wow.
it's
Oh,
easier
look.
to it's easier to access top secret US government documents
Right.
than it is to access the vaults of the Vatican.
Yeah. Yeah. So much easier. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's so much information they have down there, so much history that like, technically kind of getting lost now, lost history that we can just read and
Yeah.
find out. Like,
Okay. Oh, okay. This makes sense.
yeah, like this make all makes
Yeah.
sense now.
Stuff that easily could apply to today,
Yeah,
but because Constantine and the church heads it didn't serve their agenda, it was left out.
yeah, right. Yeah, that sucks. I wish we can go back in time. Well, actually, we can't because we won't have the existence we're living today. We may not have this conversation. So, so technically, I won't be able to. Right. But let's see. Oh yeah. Going back to the UFO, the the U.S. government declassifying everything. Like they're right at the beginning of the pandemic when they actually admitted that this is the one of like the aircraft that was over in San Diego, I
Yeah.
believe. And they said this is a actual UFO, or
Yeah.
they
That
call it
was
something else.
yes.
Yeah, and like it's like we don't know what this is. It's actually an unidentified flying object, and no one even paid attention to it because going through the pandemic, of course. But I was like, wow, aliens,
Yeah,
and the government
it
probably
was
admitted it.
declassified. It was
Yeah,
declassified for 24 hours and then they reclassified it.
yeah, reclassified it. It was,
And so
uh,
and no one paid attention except
yeah,
for,
no,
people like me who started jumping up and down going, "Finally!"
right?
Um,
Yeah, me too. I was
yeah.
like, whoa. I was talking to my friend about that too when I was at work. I was like, hey, UFOs now. We got a pandemic and there's aliens, and then it was like, they didn't believe me at all. I tried to prove it to them. They
Murder
actually declassified it. Huh?
hornets, pandemic aliens, murder hornets. I mean, just,
Right? Murder.
you know,
Yeah.
and people really were going, "Oh, crikey, is this the apocalypse?"
Right? We had
Better start getting right with Jesus,
right. Seriously. And then, well, you couldn't go to church because church was shut down. You couldn't
Right.
congregate. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, well, yeah,
Uh,
keep those. Mhm.
blow the dust off of that Bible and start reading it at home, getting right.
Right? It was 2020 was a wild year. Now I'm ready for 2021. Or look like it's gonna be another wild. but
Yeah, 20 was the unequivocal worst year of my life.
oh really?
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
How
But
so? Well,
let's
during
I had something tragic and traumatic happen every single month of 2020.
oh no.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Mm,
And everybody's like, "Oh, you just need this year to be over with. You just need this year to be over with." And I'm like, "No, I can wait."
mhm.
Really? I'm like, "Yeah, because what happens if 21 looks at 20 and says, 'Hold my beer'?"
Right? I'm still sticking with my theory. I think one of the Mayans were dyslexic. They put the one in the wrong spot. I think
It wasn't 2012, it was 2021.
we won. And then they couldn't move that rock again. It's like, all right, Carl, we can't move the rock here anymore. So they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. Snap. But yeah, that
Liquid
is
paper hadn't
crazy.
been invented yet.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. But that is fascinating. During your UFO research, have you found anything? Have you, you know,
I
mhm,
personally have not. Although I came close in December. I got to see the satellite train, the SpaceX satellite train, and got a
mhm.
really good photo of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this?
Yeah.
And I sent it out to my team, and we're researching it, and then it's like, oh, it was the satellite train, just totally
Oh,
burst my bubble. Uh,
nah.
but some of my other investigators have had, UFO experiences and and everything. But I was so sure I had finally seen a UFO when I
Right.
saw the satellite train in December. Oh man.
Right. Yeah. Oh, dang. What was some of their experience? Did they tell you about their things that they
Oh
found?
yeah. Yeah. One of my investigators lives up in the mountains, very isolated, and she and her husband have a hot tub on their back deck.
Mm,
And I've been out there in the hot tub at night. It's a great place to, kick back and watch satellites. You can even see the space station every now and then. And they were sitting in their hot tub, and a what they thought was a satellite um, came uh, flying from right to left over the horizon and stopped. And then so it went from west to east,
mhm.
stopped for about a full second, and then zipped north. So I mean, it was flying one direction, it stopped, and then just pew, went north over
Yeah.
their heads. And they both kind of looked at each other, and he said to her, he goes, "You saw that too, right?" She says, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "Because I've had quite a bit to drink, you know."
Right? Oh, wild.
Yeah. So and they've gone back, trying to see it again and everything, and they haven't. Um, but there's a very popular theory
Mhm.
out there among ufologists, um, that the people that are able to see the UFOs are the abductees, whether they are aware that they're abductees or not, um, because they've been abducted, and maybe they've got a chip or some kind of force field remover or something,
Mhm.
added to them. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but it's the abductees that are able to see the see the craft, see the ships.
The ships, okay. Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh,
So maybe that's why I've only seen the satellite train is because I haven't been abducted. Not that I want to.
right? I know. I heard it was a good time. They treat you right. You'll be asleep most of the time.
You're as gentle as possible, you know.
As gentle as possible. Your arms start itching for a little while, but it'll be all right. It's a side
Yeah.
effect of being. But, so so what about that theory that people say like maybe the UFOs are just us from the future that we're just traveling back in time?
It's possible. Anything's
Yeah,
possible.
anything's possible, right? They're saying just mankind from the future is traveling back in time, like they have that, or like a
Yep.
few theories,
Bring
like
on yeah, bring on Doctor Who.
right, for real, right? Yeah.
Or Quantum Leap. That was a good show too.
Oh, that was a good show. Yeah, Doctor Who and Quantum Leap. That was pretty good. Hmm. Yeah. Huh. So does that mean with that theory, like people who've been abducted can see the UFOs? Does that mean that everybody that UFO sighting, a big old one in Arizona, were they all abducted? That'd be crazy.
That's possible,
I
and
know,
there are
right?
some people
It's yeah.
claim there are some people that claim to have been part of a mass abduction.
Yeah. My mom does. My mom's talking about in San Francisco in what she said, 1978, something like that. She said like like there was like a mass abduction of everybody, and everybody saw it. Like the whole city block power went out, the TV went out, and everything went out, and everyone was just the whole city block and one giant like there was like a bright light. She was describing to me like a bright light, and it just kind of woke up, and the TV and everything is back on. Everything was like regular and normal.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really crazy. I mean, yeah. I don't think she'll make that up. And my auntie talks about it too. So
Wow.
yeah. um, yeah. But yeah. So have you run into people who've been abducted before? Have they conversated with them?
Yeah, I've spoken to quite a few people that
Hmm.
believe they are abductees.
Hmm.
Um, and some people are very open and willing to talk about it, and other people will say, "Yes, I'm an abductee," and they leave it at that.
Oh yeah. Not anymore. Yeah. We'll move past it. Move forward.
Yeah,
Um.
they won't. They refuse to discuss it.
Is it like do most abductees get abducted again and they come back and almost like um the UFO craft, they always see the UFO craft, they feel like they're being watched by it 24/7 sometimes. Like you ever heard?
Again, it depends on who you talk to. Some people report that they've been abducted more than once, and others are like, "No, it was a one and done," or
Right,
I'm not going to discuss this.
right, yeah.
Abducted, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Right. I can see that. I can see that. I can see definitely most definitely see that.
And it's the same reaction with any other trauma. It
Mhm.
depends on the
Yeah,
person as to how open and willing they are to talk about it. My dad refuses to discuss some of the traumas from his life, and he's of
right.
the opinion that that his life and his family and everything are nobody else's business. So he doesn't talk to anyone about anything. Whereas he's got his oldest daughter is chatterbox. So
Right.
it, if I was abducted, I'd be calling him up, going, "Dad, guess what?
I seen him.
They took me up on their spaceship and they ran tests on me, and
Right.
you know,
Uh, if I was, I would try so hard to get a selfie with him.
right?
Right?
They make me leave my phone at home.
Right? Oh, so yeah, yeah, I can get that though. I get why some people just kind of suppress it because if you don't talk and have to worry about it anymore, you know, and
Yeah.
That's what some
If you
people,
don't acknowledge it, it didn't happen.
yeah, it didn't exist, never happened. Press that like have a cognitive suppression of what happened back then. You know,
Right.
I can see that. Yeah, it makes sense. That's what isn't that why that sometimes they have the people who've been in abductees who've been abducted before go
Uh-huh.
to like a hypnotist, and the hypnotist kind of like kind of like sparks what
Yeah.
happened to
Block
him,
that.
recalls.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I see that. I've seen some of that stuff before on YouTube, and other
Yeah.
stuff and documentaries, and yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, the experiences, they vary from person to person. And the extraterrestrials vary. Um,
Yeah,
there are some that look very human. They look very humanoid, and there are others that do not. And, there are, some that are green and some that are gray and some that are brown and some that are comprised of, nothing but sparkles. And
nothing but
sparkles is
sparkles.
it's a very, very loose term. It's almost like an energy shimmer
Okay,
that's very sparkly is the only way I can describe it,
right.
based on what I've heard from other people. Um, so, uh, it it so I think the abductees' experiences also depend on, what race or what species is abducting them.
Right, yeah. Uh, didn't they? What did they say? Like, what was it the tall whites and the grays and then the browns? What were the browns? You remember the name they gave to the brown aliens? I can't remember, but they said they were the bad aliens.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not sure.
don't remember.
Yeah,
And again, I know that there are some that are very kind and there are some that are not.
yeah, yeah. I can't remember what the names of it is either right now, but yeah, yeah. And I also heard that like the humanoid aliens that are byproduct of the people who've been abducted. They crossbreeding DNA with their DNA kind of style.
Right.
Yeah, you know. So
Yeah, trying to create a super race.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know why they would want to create a super race with some of the rednecks they've been abducting. Oh, they took me up in that their spaceship and, and they ran them tests on me. I kind of tickled. I liked it. And,
I liked it. It was real good. It was real nice. Oh snap! It did some things to me. Things I can't talk about. It still hurts to see it.
reminds me of Little Pete in that movie Ridiculous Six.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah. That's a pretty movie. That's a pretty good movie. Pretty funny.
I love.
People people keep saying Adam Sandler kind of lost it. I'm like, no, he didn't. He just, yeah, just looking too deep into movies. Just a light-hearted, fun movie.
Yeah, I told you I had a strong neck.
All right, he was swinging on that. Oh gosh, I had the strong dick. Yeah. Oh, were they
Yeah,
all like brothers?
yeah, they were all brothers. They all
They're
had.
all brothers. Yeah. Oh, snap. Oh, that was a good movie. I gotta get a movie to watch again. I gotta see that one.
Netflix.
Right, Netflix. Here I come. You're so so you're a writer of 6 books, right?
Yes, I have six
Yeah.
books on the market, and they're all about ghosts and the paranormal.
That's the paranormal. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are they audio? Just coverback, Kindle? Like what kind of?
They are all available in paperback from Amazon.
Okay.
My two fiction books are available digitally. Um, and one of my fiction books, it's actually the first book that I wrote. It's called Ghosts of the Heart, A Paranormal Investigator's Journey. It is fiction, but it is loosely based on some of my experiences as an investigator.
Right.
So there is some fact interwoven. I took some creative liberties, if you will, to turn it into a fiction book, but it is based on some of my experiences as an investigator.
Okay, yeah. I can't wait to give them some of those reads. I was aiming to download it right now, but for some reason my freaking phone wouldn't upload Amazon. But it's all right. I want to check some of those books out. They sound interesting. You sound like a very interesting, fantastic person. I mean, all the way from the the Air Force and now a paranormal investigator. That's fantastic. Um, like seriously, that's astonishing. I mean, just that little encounter, like with that gentleman, disappeared, set you down a life path that is just incredible, remarkable. I'm quite sure you had some crazy, like from the stories I heard right now, some crazy, magnificent experiences.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you know, uh, able to affect and touch people's lives and not look bad on them and judge them for like even if they didn't, if it was just like a tree that blew by you, went out and go investigate it and show like, hey, you're not crazy. It's just a tree,
Yeah.
because biggest thing or crazy is so dismissive and not really hearing the person out.
Well,
So,
when a person is so afraid
mhm.
to be in their home or business, when they are so afraid to allow a group of strangers into their personal space,
Yes.
you really need to respect that.
Mhm.
And so, us coming in and going, okay, we believe that you are experiencing something,
Mhm.
you know, and then it's up to us to determine exactly what it is that they're experiencing. And, and so, uh, that automatically provides them with comfort when we go in and say, we believe you're experiencing something. We believe you. And, it's like you go to the doctor and say, I have a headache. And the doctor says, okay, I believe that you have a headache. Let's run some tests and find out what's causing your headache.
Right. Yeah.
It's the exact same concept, only we don't charge you. We everything that we do is free of charge to our clients.
Mhm.
All of our expenses, our travel, our equipment, our batteries, everything comes out of our pockets because we're not in this for fame and fortune. We are in this to help people
Mhm.
and to gather data and document events to contribute to um, the to contribute to research in the field.
That's amazing. I mean, like what some of them like the ghost hunters out there, like making a mockery of some stuff sometimes,
Uh,
planting stuff,
there
but
are a
yeah,
lot of disreputable people and a lot
oh
of
yeah,
disreputable and unethical organizations out there. Anybody that tries to charge you for services, no. If they don't have references available, no. If they've been around for less than 3 years, no.
yeah,
You really want people with experience. Uh, you know, references are always a plus. Um, experience, references, and people that do not charge money.
okay, yeah, yeah. You gotta make sure like they're not in there to just make I guess make a lick out of you, make some money off of you by saying, oh yeah, yeah, that's all going on. And yeah, I can see that. I can see the bad faith actors out there doing that.
Yeah. They'll
Uh,
go in, charge you $150,
mm,
kick you out of your house for a night, and you come back, your house is trashed. They've ransacked your refrigerator and said, nope, we didn't catch anything. See ya.
right. So, have you ever worked with a medium before? I know this probably
I have
leading into it. Yeah, you worked with a medium before?
I have, and there are some very, very talented people with extrasensory abilities out
Hmm.
there. Um, Not as many as you would think.
Hmm.
There more people have what is called empathy. They're
Hmm.
empaths, which means they can pick up on emotions,
Hmm.
and everybody can do it, whether or not they pay attention to it or not. When you walk into the room and you can feel the tension, you can
Yeah,
quote unquote cut
yeah.
the tension with a knife. That's
Hmm.
that's empathic ability. Um, and so a lot of people have empathic, abilities that they can kind of tune into. But people with actual legitimate sixth sense abilities
Hmm.
are so few and far between. Um, there are so many people out there who have learned how to read people, read facial cues, read body language,
Yeah.
and and so when you hear the phrase "read your room,"
Hmm.
and read your audience and everything. That's what these quote unquote psychics are doing. Is they're looking for cues to to feed off of. Um,
Right.
we used to have a girl on the team, and even though we have a very strict policy about not utilizing extrasensory abilities on during investigations. We
Hmm.
have a policy, and that's one of the things we ask. It's like, if you believe you have extrasensory abilities, are you able to turn them off and not use them during investigations? And this girl, she just refused to comply, and we ended up having to let her go, um, for more reasons than just that. But she would she walked into an area and she's like, "Oh, I'm seeing a bride. I'm yeah, there's a bride, and oh, she was murdered." And the actual history of the area, there was no, not even within that city block was there ever a documented case of a bride being murdered. And it just, her doing that, it just got everybody all wound up. And so they're asking questions about, you know, when was your wedding day, or, and stuff like that. They were asking the wrong line of questioning because
Yeah.
there was no bride. And so it essentially made that investigation useless.
Yeah. Like, no, null and void. You gotta void it out because
Exactly. We
that's
wasted an entire night. We wasted our money. We wasted our resources. You know, all because this girl couldn't keep her mouth shut.
yeah. Mm. Do you believe she is actually, like a true medium, or was she just a bad faith actor as well? But I'm gonna mention her name or anything. Just that could be.
I think I believe I do not believe she has extrasensory abilities, but
Mm.
I also do not believe that she was a bad faith actor. I think she had an overactive imagination.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, I can totally see that. The mind's extremely powerful. It can actually, you actually create your, you can almost create your own reality, and you actually can believe
Exactly.
it.
Manifest your
Yeah,
own reality.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I can believe it. Yeah, so yeah, I can see that. Then that'll make sense, especially if she's had experience like that, and maybe one of her median ideals came true one day. Yeah,
uh,
I can see that.
Yeah.
Uh
Well,
oh,
what
sorry.
started it all was she took a road trip and was in New Orleans and had a quote unquote psychic. She went and got a psychic reading, and uh, that alleged psychic in New Orleans told her she had abilities,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and it
Yep.
snowballed from there.
It's no wrong. Okay. I heard about this before. Yes.
Uh,
Yes, that makes a lot more sense now. Yes,
uh,
especially if somebody told her and she's already, of the belief of this and this psychic, well, this
uh,
psychic holds true. Yeah, I can definitely see how Yeah. Well,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, so we're not gonna speak ill of her. I wish her the best. Hopefully, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully, but that's that's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. I mean, this sounds like you had a very, very interesting, interesting career so far, and
So far, yeah.
yeah, it sounds very interesting. Sounds
I'm hoping it stays interesting, and I'm hoping
oh,
17 more years with CCPI uh,
yeah.
and more books to write. And I do have a seventh book coming out, but it is not
Okay,
about ghosts at all.
okay,
Uh, it's actually about fishing, my other favorite pastime. And
okay.
yeah, it'll be out in time for Father's Day.
Okay.
And yeah, and so I had the friend tell me, I've got all of these really fun and funny fishing stories, and a friend of mine told me you really need to write this down and put it into a book.
Okay.
And I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and I went, you know what, I'm going to do it. And so I can bite my own hook. True Tales of a Fisher Mom will be out in time for Father's Day.
All right. By Mount Hook, True Tales of a Fishing Mom. All
Yeah,
right, Rick. I want to read that. I want to give it a read. And before it comes out, would you like to do another podcast? We discuss about it. I would love to
sure,
give it a read. All right,
sure.
let's do
Be
it.
happy.
All right. Oh, because I enjoyed talking to you. This has been a phenomenal podcast. Best ones like so far. I mean, I had goosebumps a few times there, and I got listen to your story, and I'm definitely gonna give all your books a read here, and I'm gonna yeah, this is magnificent. This is the most funnest podcast I had in a long time.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, is there anything, any groups you want to shout out? Anybody you want to talk to or say hi to?
Well, I definitely want to give a shout out to my CCPI family.
Right.
Uh, and I hope everyone is healing and getting better. We are all but three of us are down, sick or injured right now, and one of us has COVID. One of us has had COVID since November 20th.
This is November 20th.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, she's going on 2 months with COVID right now.
2 months with COVID. Wow.
Yeah,
Is
and
she,
I'm
is she
I'm
doing
still
fine? Is she asymptomatic or is it like actually affecting
no,
her respiratory?
oh no, she's bad sick.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. And I'm recovering from major surgery. Our case manager is recovering from major surgery. Our former historian is recovering from major surgery. Uh, you know, we, luckily our technical manager and our two trainees are healthy. So, we can still do emergency cases if we have to, but right now, because of COVID and because so many of us are down, sick, or injured, we're on a little bit of a hiatus. But if anybody wants to learn more about us and what we do, they're more than welcome to visit our website, which is www.caloparanormal.com.
Okay.
And of course, I want to give a shout out to my son, my offspring. He's a he's a junior member actually. He's almost 20, and we do take on junior members from 16 to 21, or well, from 16 to 20. They can be junior members when they turn 21. They can be full-fledged members. Um, so my almost 20-year-old, this is going to be his last year as a junior member, and then he gets to be a full member and start working some of the big cases with us.
All right. Oh,
Yeah,
that's gonna be fun. He's gonna love it. I know he's gonna love it. Follow mama's footsteps. I love it.
he's been investigating with me since he was 4.
Really?
So yeah, yeah, since he was 4 years old, he's been investigating with me. If I get asked to meet with a group of school children, and take a tour of the Hotel Colorado so I can explain the history and the haunted history of the building or whatever. He's
Mm.
gone with me on a couple of those tours, and they ask him, you know, about, what's it like having your mom as an investigator. He goes, "Oh, I like investigating with mom." And he knows, he learned real early how to ask EVP questions and to wait for a response and stuff
Okay.
like that. So, yeah, so he's been investigating for about 16 years now.
Oh, 16 years. Wow, he's a pro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's almost 20, been doing it since he
Yeah.
was 4, so
Right.
almost 16 years.
16
And
years. Wow.
yeah,
Oh,
and
can you hear me?
there you are.
Oh, okay. We're back. All right.
So luckily this
Um,
is pre-recorded, so you can go back and edit out all the bloopers.
right. Right. Yep. Try to pre-recorded. Our next one we might go live. That'll be pretty cool.
That
We'll do a
would.
live one day. That way people can get some questions and answers for you too. They can ask you some questions and whatnot, and they can discover out more. I know. Special one day. That'll
Yeah,
be great.
and happy
Yeah.
to answer questions.
Right. Yeah. I'm quite sure some people out there have a lot more questions than I would have, probably about Ouija boards and a whole bunch of other stuff. I would to that, but I'm running out of time. I have to go to bed here soon because of work.
So our
Like,
Ouija board expert is actually our case manager. She has quite the Ouija board collection.
really? Okay.
Yes.
It's, I would love to get all of you guys in together. Can we ever make that possible? Like,
We can
maybe
sure
just. All right. I would love to. All right. Looking forward to that. We want to try to get the whole team together, and it's gonna be awesome.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I love it. All right. um, any more shots you want to give to anybody? Have the link to your description of your to your books and your website on the video itself, and also share it on my Facebook and my Instagram probably, and whatever places I can go on my social media outlets.
Yeah,
All
all
right.
6 of my books are available on Amazon. You can find them, just look up my name. You gotta spell it right, though. Last name is spelled Vazquez. And Clarissa is spelled just like the TV show, Clarissa Explains It All, and sometimes I do. Uh, uh, all 6 of my books can be found on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com or wherever you like to buy your books.
All right. It was such a pleasure, Carissa. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I had a fun time tonight.
Me too. Me too.